This question, when it came up in the exam, caused people more issues than you might expect. It's a Boolean identity, so A and not A equals naught. So what we have to do is describe why this is the case. So it says, without using a truth table, explain why the identity is true. So we could say that if input A is 0, then not A will be 1, which will be a good start. And we could say that if input A is 1, then not A will be 0. So we've described what happens with not. So now we need to get our second mark. So the second mark for this, lots of people, when this was actually in the exam, didn't get the second mark because they forgot to do this bit, or they forgot to talk about it specifically enough. So if we say an AND gate, only outputs 1 when both inputs are 1. In the above case, the two inputs can never both be 1. So the only output possible is 0. So if we've said that, then we're going to have enough, I think, there for us. So one of the important things here is actually using this word, the AND gate, making sure we've got AND in there, because that's an interpretation here. So A dot not A, it's not telling us that's an AND gate, so we're showing the examiner that we know that that's AND. So having that word in there is really useful. And again, we've talked here about the fact that we're using 1s and 0s to show that the only possible output is 0. Now, yes, we could have talked about trues and falses, I guess, but 1 and 0 is probably the better way to do this. If you'd have said something like sort of not A is always the opposite of A, you won't get any marks for saying that unless you clarify it by saying this idea of if A is 1, then not A will be 0. So try not to shorten your answer too much in something like this, because remember, we're trying to get 2 marks for this. It's a 2-mark question, and so essentially our first mark is for this. So here's our first mark there, and our second mark is for this statement or something like it that mentions the AND gate and says how it only outputs 1 when both inputs are 1, and the only possible output therefore is 0. So this is how we've got our 2 marks.